next section of our math book deals with what's called rational numbers, and rational numbers are parts of a number. And we can have parts of a number with fractions, and we can have parts of a number with decimals. And you've had fractions and decimals before. And fractions, I'm assuming by now in our PLC groups, we have covered fractions again. So I don't know exactly where you stand. So I am going to go through everything. But I'm going to do it quickly. But hey, it's on video. You can push rewind if you need to. Because what I need you to do is get strong in it. Because you are reaching the point where nobody's going to teach you this anymore. They're going to expect you to know it. So I need you serious and buckle down and say, okay, I'm going to learn this, I'm going to get it, I'm going to remember the rules, okay? Because we're going to take our decimals and our fractions, and we're going to take them to negative numbers, and we're going to take them to solving equations, and we're going to take them to all those algebra places. So I need all of the arithmetic stuff to be solid, okay? So let's start. Today we're going to do the decimal review, and this is all decimals. This is everything you do with decimals. This is addition, subtraction, multiplication, division. How do you set them up? How do you look at them? How do you read them? Well, not how you read them. I assume you know how to read them, but that's okay. When you are adding and subtracting decimals, you have to line up the decimals. Have to. So 4.2 plus 32.65 is going to get set up like this, where the decimals are lined up. Notice when you're adding, you can add a 0 plus a 5 and all of that. And if you end up needing to regroup and stuff, it's all lined up like this. 52.4 minus 7.58. Remember that if there's a blank spot here and the blank spot is on top and you're subtracting, you can't do 0 minus 8. So you're going to stick your little 0 in here. You're going to borrow or regroup from the 4. I don't know what you guys call it. And then you've got 10 minus 8 is 2. Now I can't do 3 minus 5, so I'm going to regroup again. And 13 minus 5 is 8. And 4, 11 minus 7 is 4. So I end up with 44.82. Okay? It's just like a regular subtraction problem, but we don't review that anymore because you practice it a little bit here, but you know, yeah, right. Realize that it very easily could have been negative 52 minus 7, in which case you would have added these two and your answer would have been negative, okay? We can start doing that now, throwing those in, so just beware of that. But ta-da! That's your addition and subtraction of decimals review. And that's really all there is to remember, but if you don't remember it, you get it wrong. Estimating with decimals. Always estimate to check your answer. Just to find out if it's reasonable or not. So for example, 5.62 plus 9.27. Well, that's kind of a complicated addition problem. But if you look at it and you say, well, okay, I'm going to round off to the nearest 1. So I'm going to look next door. When I look next door, this 6 rounds my 5 up to a 6. So this becomes 6. The 2, I want to round off here. I'm going to look next door. The 2 does not round the 9 up. It keeps the 9 the same. So really, this is 6 plus 9. And that's 15. So when you add this up, if you end up with 14.29 or 16.32, that's great, because that's kind of around your 15. But if you end up with 1.278, you know that, there's something wrong, because this is not about 15. And so now you can go back and say, okay, I did something wrong. I know I got this wrong. I can fix it before it starts to count against me. Okay, let's do another one. 10, we're going to look next door. The 1 keeps that at 10. 6, we're going to look next door. The 9 rounds the 6 up to a 7. 10 plus, oh, that's a times. 10 times 7 is 70, so your answer should be about 70. Works with division too. 81, the 0 is going to keep this in 81. Here, the 9 is going to round this up to a 9. 81 divided by 9 is 9, so your answer should be somewhere around 9. It's not hard to go back and just look at your problem and double check it. You don't have to do a lot of math. You don't really have to write it down unless you're doing a problem where it actually says estimate to check your answer. And then once you actually do this math, it'll look like this: 5.62 plus 9.27. All right, I'm going to actually do my math. 9 and 5 is 14. Okay, but I added up. 6 plus 9 is 15. So this is how I show that I've actually checked my work. And I think at least one, if not two, of your homeworks in the next couple of nights is going to be estimate to check your answer. And this is what it looks like. You have the real answer, and then you have the answer of this rounded off plus this rounded off in a little circle there, so that I can see that you did it. Okay? Ta-da! All right, so we did adding and subtracting decimals. Now, when multiplying decimals, you're going to multiply the regular way, and you're going to count up the decimal places and stick them in at the end. For example, 3.91 times 4.2. You don't have to line the decimals up anymore. You can do the math problem and ignore all the decimal points. So you're going to do all this straight multiplication. Now remember, when you're doing long multiplication, when you do this second part, you always go over and you have some kind of a placeholder or even just a blank space. That's right, but make sure you remember that placeholder for long multiplication. Then when you're all done, you're going to go through and you're going to say, okay, here's 1, 2, 3. There's 3 decimal spots. So I need to go 1, 2, 3, and I put my decimal spot right there. Now I check. 4 times 4 is 16. Look, I got the right answer. If I ended up accidentally putting my decimal point there, that answer is 164. That's huge. So I know that I did something wrong just because I double checked, and I took a whole, what did that take me? Like maybe 5 seconds to go and look at it again. All right, now we've got dividing. When dividing decimals, you're going to move the decimal out of the divisor and move it the same amount in the dividend. So for example, 4.88 divided by 0.8. You always put the first number in the house, okay? Now, I've got a decimal here. I cannot have a decimal out here. So I'm going to move my decimal point over 1 here, but I have to move it over the same one here. That means I put it up here. First thing you should do is put the decimal up there. Now I'm actually going to do the math. How many times does 8 go into 48? It goes in 6 times. Now 8 goes into 48 6 times. It's really important to know exactly where your answer goes, because you have to put your decimal in the right place, and then you have to put the number in the right place. Because if I put a 6 here, my answer is 0.6. But 8 goes into 48. And so my 6 has to go above the last digit that I'm looking at. So my 6 has to go here. 8 goes into 48 6 times. 6 times 8 is 48, subtract 0, bring down the 8. 8 goes into 8 once. Now I put it around the decimal point, but because I know exactly what numbers I'm working at, I know exactly where the numbers go and exactly where the decimal goes. So I end up with 6.1, not 0.61, not 61 point. That's important. So you can't be sloppy with your long division, okay? Let's do another one. 0.35 divided by 0.5. All right, I've got a decimal out here. I can't have that. I'm going to move it over, again, 1 spot. So I'm going to move it over here, 1 spot, and I'm going to put it up there immediately. Now, how many times does 5 go into 3? It doesn't. How many times does 5 go into 35? 5 goes into 35 7 times. Now, I've got to put the 7 above this number, 7. So my answer is 0.7. Okay? You'll really mess yourself up if you don't keep your numbers straight. That's the big deal with dividing with decimals. All right? All right. We have just added, subtracted, multiplied, and divided. Your turn, that we're going to treat as a practice. Ta-da! which means you get to do this and you get to bring me answers. You've done this before. You started this in 4th or 5th grade. You are average 7th grade now. Even if you're in 6th grade, you should be able to handle this no problem. So, work it out, work it slowly, check your answer, because it takes you 5 seconds, maybe. And get good and strong at this, and know that this is something that you can do no problem, because we're gonna take it to the next level. We're gonna go with solving equations pretty soon. So get strong with this. If you have any questions, we need to fix them. If you have any problems with this, I need you to figure out what those problems are, and that means you need to talk to me. Got no problem sitting down with you, because we need to get beyond this, all right? This is one of those big deals, okay? We're gonna do the same thing with fractions. So we're gonna get strong with our arithmetic, because we've gotta be strong there to do well in algebra, okay? So, stars, hazard signs, questions. There. See you tomorrow. Take care.